Everyone,
She's genuine.
Yeah.
good morning.
Morning.
I would like to call the Finance Committee meeting to order, and the first order of business is to approve last month's committee meeting minutes. Motion made by Supervisor Simpson, second by Supervisor Strau. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we're going to skip privilege of the floor for right now. We're going to move that towards the end, and then we'll hop right into the action agenda. Item 1, request for a transfer of funds is attached for committee approval. Item 1 in your packet.
I'll move.
Motion made by Supervisor Bramer, seconded by Supervisor McDevitt. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 2, item to be discussed by the County Treasurer, Michael Swan.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to do a couple quick updates. First of all, I know I've been saying this for several years, but I'm just going to throw it out there again, and you're going to hear me say it continually. The county cannot continue to use our savings to balance the budget. We're going to run out of money at some point in time. I'm just going to throw that out there. On a more positive note, interest rates are finally going up a little bit. So CDs are actually going to start paying a little bit more than our few money market accounts that we have left. So we will be investing in some CDs, hopefully to increase our revenues. This will be the first time since 2009 that we've been able to do this. So it's not a lot, but at least it's better than nothing. Just to give you an idea, back in 2008, the county made almost $300,000 in interest on the money in the accounts. The low point over the last 9 years, it was about 20 grand. So we have been losing some there. Hopefully that'll start going. For the new supervisors and anybody else who's interested in, our monthly budget analysis reports, sales tax information that we email you every month or whenever is on our website for reference if you need it, along with information about occupancy tax. And our audited financials are all there too, plus some other financial information. If you ever want to look at it, you don't want some information. And lastly, we're working on closing our books right now. Should be in about another 3 weeks or so. We should have those done. So far, so good. We're not seeing any surprises. Everything is looking fine. And we should be, I hate to throw out a figure, but we should be somewhere about the same place where we were last year, around 17 million, roughly, give or take, on our unencumbered fund balances. Our audited financials will be done in September, as is always, and the sales tax for 2017 was up about 2.2% over 2016, so that's good news. And occupancy tax was up about 3.7%. Questions?
I have a question.
Supervisor Garrity?
Mike, have you had a chance to look at the state audited information from Lake George, Lake Champlain Regional Planning? And can you clarify the statements in that audit? Have you had a chance to read them first?
Not all of it, no.
Okay. But would you take a look at it and give your...
What's the question you have?
Well, I mean, the comment about their unsecured loans and the non-secured loans, how does that work?
Well, I'd have to review it to give you an exact answer on that.
Well, could you do that? And
Yep, because that's a grant program, and I don't think that they anticipate having, all of them are good loans, because they're high-risk loans.
But an audit's an audit, and the statements in the audit should be similar, right?
Yes.
Well, you're going to have that meeting the week of the 9th, correct? We're going to have a meeting?
Personnel.
So Finance will have to follow that, right?
We don't have to, but you can.
Well, I'm just suggesting maybe that's...
If you get a chance, Mike, could you?
Just to follow up on that, I think what you're referring to, Kevin, is the when I brought it up to Walter 2 days ago about the Marvin audit report that stated that there was over $1 million, which was actually 37% of their current loan portfolio, which is over $3 million, that was in default of interest.
Yeah.
Was in default of acquiring of interest bearing. So in other words, they basically are saying, and I'm not a CPA, but they're basically saying, the way I read it is, we've given up on trying to get these loans
pay back.
to pay back their interest and probably, obviously, the principal too. So when I asked Mr. Young that, he said, no, that's not accurate. I said, well, that's right from the audit report. I had the copy of it, and
Yeah.
he said, we've only got 80,000 in default. So obviously, there's some confusion. I'd just like to get, like you said, Kevin, some
Well,
clarity.
I'd just like to understand.
Yeah, some clarity.
I'll get an answer for you.
Yeah, that's a huge number.
Yeah, it's a
The week of the
huge
9th,
difference.
we said.
The week of the-
right?
I'm not sure, do you have a day yet for personnel?
Yeah.
Thursday.
Oh, it's a Thursday, okay.
Okay.
As long as we're not inter-county, I don't think we are that week.
Anything else for our treasurer? Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Mike. I don't know.
Moving on, item 3, referral from the County Facilities Committee, Buildings and Grounds. Request to amend the county budget in the amount of $1,358.21 to reflect the receipt.
I'll move it.
Motion made by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Request from the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee. Item A, District Attorney, request for a transfer of funds in the amount of $14,200 from the contingent account to cover the cost of salary increases for the DA.
Can I move A, B, C, D, and E? We've already discussed them and hashed them
We
out.
did
in
discuss
committee.
them. Yes.
Second that.
Is that okay?
I'll
Motion
move
made
A,
by
B, C,
Supervisor
D, E.
Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Simpson to move items 4A, B, C, D, and E. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 5, referrals from the Health, Human, and Social Services Committee. Employment and Training. Request to amend the county budget in the amount of $1,000 to reflect the receipt of Federal Trade Investment Act funding as a reimbursement for costs associated with the training of NICE dislocated workers.
I'll move A, B, C there because we went through that in committee. If everybody,
And I'll second that.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor
Oh, you have a
Garrity,
question.
seconded
You have a
by
question.
Supervisor Frazier, to move items 5A, B, and C, and discussion, Supervisor Schrow.
Yes, and in item A is the employment and training, and it's, we're going to move 1,000 to reflect the receipt of Federal Trade Investment Act funding as reimbursed for costs associated with the training of NICE.
I know, I saw that, I don't,
I think it's next.
Very
I think it's-
pleasantly.
Nine.
So
Nine.
we go to the nasty dislocated. You do have a group in mind.
they have so many
Well, we have a
acronyms,
large
I thought that was actually an acronym, but not capitalized, so I'm not exactly 100% sure what that is. Edna, do you remember? That's,
I don't, to be honest, and I don't have any of that other people. What about Amanda's issue?
It's a typo, it's 9.
9?
Let's see, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Where's N and C on the typewriter? You want to call down? We'll clarify it with the county attorney's office.
No, it's not. It says it right on the...
Oh, it's 9.
Yeah.
It's 9. It's clarified.
Typo.
I made a motion.
Yes, we're all good. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 6, referral from the Park Operations and Management Committee. Request to authorize reimbursement in total amount of $12,630.12 to the Village of Lake George for various expenses related to the Charles R. Wood Park, as well as to appropriate funds from Budget Code Deferred Revenue Gaslight Village Parking Fees in the amounts of $12,589.26 to the Charles R. Wood Park Repair Maintenance Building Property, and $40.86 to the Gaslight Village Property Supplies.
I'll make that a motion, but I have a comment.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Go right ahead.
I brought up in this parks, they need to get these vouchers in on a timely. This was last year's expenses. I think it was November, and we shouldn't be talking about that in March. These vouchers need to be passed through, and Dave admitted that they had some snafu on that one, so that's why I'll pay it. But if they don't get their vouchers in timely in the future, I don't think we should.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 7, referrals from the Support Services Committee, IT. Request to appropriate funds in the amount of $43,000 from the Computer Reserve Fund to various departmental budgets for the purchase of computers and related equipment and software.
I'll move 7A and B.
Okay, motion to move 7A and B by Supervisor Bramer, seconded by Supervisor Beatty. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 8, referral from the Traffic Safety Board, request to amend the county budget in the amount of $5,400 to reflect the receipt of Stop DWI Crackdown grant funding.
I'll move it.
Motion made by Supervisor Garrity, second by Supervisor Simpson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 9, request to be discussed by our county attorney. Go right ahead, ma'am.
So I would request an executive session to talk about pending litigation regarding the a settlement for the universal settlement. We have our outside counsel here to discuss that with us, and then to also talk about the request to join a lawsuit by an outside organization.
Can we go through the rest of the agenda first?
Yes.
Yes. Matt?
Let's go through the agenda first.
Yeah, let's,
Yeah.
Matt, can we just go through the rest of the agenda and then do the executive?
Sure. We'll go back to that one. Did you want to hit on
Yeah.
item B then?
Can I defer that to Amanda, actually? Do you mind?
Yeah, so we already did the local law to extend the mortgage reporting tax. We did last month, but you, in accord with that, you also have to do a resolution for a home rule request. So in the packet, there's 9A and B. Actually, yeah, they're all 9B, I'm sorry. It shows in the resolution request form, and then there's the copies of the current bill in the Senate and the Assembly, and then the proposed resolution is there too. So this all ties into the recording tax.
And this has already been passed by the full board.
The local law has, yes, but this, we have to do the home rule request now too.
I'll make a motion, we
Okay, motion to
do the home rule.
do the home rule made by Supervisor Garrity, second by Supervisor Molino. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Opposed.
I'm sorry?
Opposed.
Oh, opposed. We have one opposed. My apologies, we grouped, back on item 4, we grouped those all together, but item B was looking for a source of funding. We do have $269,000 in the contingent account. I don't know what your, where you would like to take the funding from.
I'll make a motion, we take 1,000 out of contingency to pay for the gauge.
Who made that motion?
I did.
That
I
was
did.
Mr. Garrity and Mr. Simpson.
Okay. Are you okay with contingency? Committee okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, back to item 10. Request to be discussed by the county administrator. Journal reports of transfers approved by the county administrator. Anything glaring here?
No, everything's mostly department to department.
All right, then item B is to request to appropriate funds in the amount of $5,000 from the Westmont Legacy Reserve to pay legal fees and contractual expenses.
That would be normal course of business. Somebody help me here. Normal course of business.
Moving on then, we have item 11, which is, we do need a motion on it, even though it's on?
It's paying for normal things, but you have to have a motion in second to appropriate from the fund.
The legacy fund? I'll make that a motion. We
Okay.
appropriate $5,000 from the Westmount Legacy Fund.
Motion made by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Simpson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to 11, Finance Committee action is required on the following items approved by the Personnel and Higher Education. Those are agenda items 3AB and 4AB. And can we group the sheriff's requests for the officers for the school activities into that? Or do you want to do it separate?
You should probably do it separate.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to 11 then. Motion to approve, or rather to, approve those items. Okay.
I'll move those items from the Personnel and Higher Education Agenda 3A and B and 4A and B.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Brammer, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Any discussion? Yes, Supervisor Stroud.
The $60,000 per year, is that included in this, Hadley Luzerne is gonna pay for,
That's going to be the next.
That's not part of
That's going to be
this.
the next one. Yep.
I just had a question.
Yep.
By someone. Okay.
Okay, for item 11, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Now moving on to the sheriff's request for officers to be on the school for activities that may occur. Can we get a motion to approve that, please? That's in the amount of $60,000, up to $60,000.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Supervisor Simpson, second by Supervisor Merlino. Discussion by Supervisor Stroud.
I mean, 60,000, and it's gonna be for less than 180 days, and it's gonna be for about 6 hours a day,
They're paying us.
and it's gonna be for some retiree. Why is it so much?
That's up to 60,000 a year per school year. So Luzerne starts now, it's certainly going to be a lot less. But that's going to be for a contract of up to 60,000 a year, not more.
Are we gonna be charging them by day then?
Yes, it's an hourly wage per day.
So what will that be?
I didn't figure how many days, depends on when he starts. Sean, do you have an estimate of how many days?
Supervisor Stroud, right now, the hourly wage for part-time solo is $19.40 an hour. You base it on an 8-hour day, 180 days a year, special events a year.
Yeah.
Sheriff? Sheriff?
Okay, I'm fine.
Sheriff, is this for a calendar year or for the school?
School year.
School year, okay.
School year. So it's like, so this year it's the rest of 18. So next year will be 18, 19.
Okay, all right. Supervisor Driscoll, did you have a question?
There are a couple of school districts that hold summer school sessions. Is that,
We can't speak to that.
No, it is not. We did not discuss that. There's certainly something we discussed with them, if that's something they want to do, but that was not discussed.
Was there a whole summer school? I didn't think.
Supervisor Brammer?
Thanks.
Was it?
I know I asked this before, but just because you were talking about the per day cost, are there costs related to like retirement benefits? And it's a part-time position, so I just want to confirm it's not. What about insurance or
Covered under
work?
insurance that we currently have. These are retirees, they're not entitled to benefits because they're coming back to work on a part-time. I've
But
already
the-
been in contact with Kathy Figueroa.
Okay, yeah, but the amount that we're charging them per day or per hour, that's going to cover any additional costs that we have with respect to like carrying insurance for that person.
They're under our umbrella policy.
Yes, but that costs something.
We didn't
Right,
break
if
it
they're
down.
not already-
We didn't break it down that far.
Okay, well, that's another good reason why we should keep track of, this should come back to the Public Safety Committee. Just because if this starts getting really big, we're going to have extra sheriff's officers on our hands, and it could start adding up costs to
Yeah,
buy
yeah.
weapons for all of them,
I
and...
agree, that's why we need to keep, it's my job to keep track of it, keep you updated on, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Treasurer Swan?
I think, Claudia, you might be getting confused when he's talking about insurance, you're talking about liability insurance, not health insurance.
I'm talking about liability
Okay.
insurance, yeah.
Supervisor Beatty?
And we're going to be reimbursed by each of these school districts, correct? So I agree with Bud, and I agree with Claudia that we just need to get some accurate, numbers so that the school districts know how much they're going to have to write the checks to the school.
Well, Luzerne Road is 60,000 a year.
Yeah, because I got a feeling a lot more schools, okay, yeah. So as long as the county is, supporting this, but not putting out money for it.
Subsidizing.
Yeah, subsidizing.
That's it.
Thank you. Kevin?
Supervisor Dickinson?
There's got to be more to it than that. You said 8 hours a day, $20 an hour?
$19.42 an hour.
And
If you figure an average, it's somewhere between 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours a day. And
180
then
days.
it comes up to $27,000 and change. And then it's special events, whether it's a football game, a basketball game, whatever the school district requests, we respond to their needs.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Brammer?
Because you gave me the contract, I'm going to bring it up. I mean, that's not spelled out in here that they're going to pay us whatever dollars per person per hour per event.
I don't think you need, I'll let Mary answer this, but I don't think we have to get that minute. They know they're spending up to $60,000 a year. It's up to us how we charge
We're just
them.
going to invoice them and they're going to pay it?
Yes. Am I missing something, Mary? I mean, that doesn't need to be any more explanatory than that.
If that's how you want to do it, that's fine.
I mean, I see it as our job to make sure that we don't put somebody in the school and it's costing us 70,000 a year. That'd be poor management on my part. So we feel that the 60,000 is accurate because if you got one police officer to cover it, you can't make more than the 30,000 for each school. It's 30,000. That's what a police officer can make retired. We don't believe one officer's going to cover it all. We believe there's going to be 2 or 3 that will cover it because most retired police officers don't want to work a full week. They want to work 2 days here or 3 days there. So. But I mean, it's our job to make sure that we administer it so it's not more than 60,000 per year for the 2 schools.
Well, it can't be. If we have a contract, we can't bill them for over that, and we shouldn't. So we need to monitor this closely, and you know, I'm sure, I would say after the first month or 2 you do it, you can talk to committee about it and say, this is what they spent. It's going to be paid for by the school district, because I'm sure they're going to want to watch their pennies too. But
well, again,
I think
it's my job to make sure.
Right, we're not going to go over, and we're not going to bill more.
Sure. Supervisor Driscoll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to be clear. It also includes extracurricular activities, evening, ball games, weekends, concerts, those types of things, based on the fact that they attract a certain number of people. So you're not going to have an officer at a skiing event.
Well, the way the discussion I have with the superintendents, wherever you think you need an officer, we will support that, as long as it stays within our contracted amount. So if he wants him at a concert, that's his call. We will allow him to do that. We will send the officer. But it's up to each school to decide where they want.
Okay.
And it is the superintendent that makes the call?
Yeah.
All right, we do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, that is it for the agenda. If I could just have your ear for 10-15 minutes or so. We do have to hop back to Mary's request for an executive session, but I will read through this as fast as I can. I would like to address an item that arose at Monday's Economic Development meeting. I have gone back and forth with many scenarios how I wanted to approach this matter. After reading today's editorial in the paper, I have a few corrections. It was mentioned that DLS is a Sokol Family Corporation. False. It is a corporation between my parents, Don and Lucinda Sokol. Their corporate tax returns include just them. It is another quote was a loan that benefits his parents benefits him, meaning me. False. This loan, if it goes into default, it gives the federal government, basically, who's given the loans, my parents' residence as the form of collateral. So, in essence, we lose out. This is a straightforward conflict of interest. False. I will read a letter in a few minutes drawn up by our county attorney to explain why. I did meet with Mary because of this issue. But before I read that, I have a couple of concerns on decorum. This was obviously a surprise to many. I think things should have and could have occurred a little differently. One, Mr. Whitehead could have approached me personally to discuss this. I would gladly have filled him in. It's not something that I like to talk about because it's my family's business. It's not anything for me to mention. If it revolves around me, have at it. I don't care, but it revolves around my parents. So I just felt that things could have been handled or approached differently there. I also felt that the chairman of the Economic Development Committee, Supervisor McDevitt, could have handled this as well. We could have gone into an executive session. If Travis wanted to attend that and be in that committee meeting, no problem. I really don't have any issues with this. Chairman Conover has mentioned too many times in our board meetings, address the chair, point of order. I just hope moving forward that we can strive for this type of etiquette. It's just, sometimes I feel like we're defunct up here in so many regards. So, at any rate, let me read you the letter that Mary drew up. And this was based on a conversation that I had with her, and I want to thank her for taking time to do this. On March 28, 2018, you asked me to draft an opinion regarding whether you had a conflict of interest with the Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board. And if you did, whether this conflict would have prevented you from voting on resolution number 133 of 2018. On August 16, 2017, the, I'll call it LC, LG, or we'll just call it the Lake Champlain Planning Board, received an application from Donald and Lucina Sokol requesting a loan. This application was signed and submitted by Donald and Lucina only. This loan was approved by the Lake Champlain Board on August 24, 2017, and the closing was held on October 13, 2017. You advise that Donald and Lucina are your parents. Section 8, subsection A of Local Law Number 6 of 2014, entitled Warren County Ethics and Disclosure Law, states no municipal officer or employee, or one, may participate in any discussion or any decision or take an official action with respect to any matter requiring the exercise of discretion when he or she knows or has reason to know that the action could confer a direct or indirect financial benefit on a relative. Subsection 3 defines a relative among as others as my parents. As a municipality that collaborated in the creation of the Lake Champlain Board, Warren County has authorized the payment of money to the Lake Champlain Board every year since 1966. On March 16, 2018, the Warren County Board of Supervisors passed Resolution 133 of 2018, authorizing the payment of $7,000 to the Lake Champlain Board for a portion of the Lake Champlain's expenses. After discussing the matter with the Lake Champlain Board, I have been advised that the money allocated by Warren County every year goes into the Lake Champlain Board's general fund to be used for the operation of the Planning Board. The money the Planning Board loans is paid from a different account at the Lake Champlain Board, initially funded by the federal government. This account is replenished when a loan is paid back, and that repayment is then used to loan money to other applicants. Under the Warren County Ethics and Disclosure Law, if you knew or had reason to know that your vote in support of the funding for the Lake Champlain Board would have an indirect or direct financial or material benefit on the loan to your parents, it would have been proper for you to abstain from the vote, as your parents are defined as a relative under the local law. However, your vote in favor did not confer a direct or indirect financial benefit to them. The loan application, approval of the loan, and the closing on the loan to your parents all occurred between August and October of 2017. The Board of Supervisors voted on Resolution 133 of 2018 on March 16, 2018, 5 months after the loan to your parents closed. Therefore, even if the money from Warren County was indirectly used to fund loans to the Lake Champlain Board applicants, there was no knowledge on your part that the $7,000 would have any benefit to your parents. Moreover, the $7,000 advance to the Lake Champlain Board is not used to fund loans. As discussed above, the money from the county is used to fund the organization's operating expenses and goes directly into the Lake Champlain Board's general fund. The loan fund was created from a federal grant, is replenished when loans are repaid. The money used to operate the planning board is separate and distinct from the money used to finance loans. This further supports the fact that the $7,000 from the county to the Lake Champlain Board conferred no benefit to your parents. Although not relevant, the issue of a mortgage in your name was also raised at the Economic Growth and Development meeting. The county clerk's records show there is a mortgage from Donald J. Sokol, Lucina T. Sokol, Matthew D. Sokol, Michael B. Sokol, and Timmy J. Sokol to the Lake Champlain Lake George Regional Planning Board. To secure the note dated the same date to the Lake Champlain Board, the mortgage conveys a security interest in 38 Helen Drive, Queensbury, New York, as collateral for the note. You are a mortgager because the property was conveyed to you, Michael and Timmy, from Donald and Lucinda on March 18, 2011. However, Donald and Lucinda maintain a life estate on that property. The issue of this mortgage is not relevant to the analysis of this alleged conflict, as it does not confer a benefit to you or your parents. After reviewing the Warren County Ethics and Disclosure Law, and after speaking with both you and the Lake Champlain Board, it is my legal opinion that you do not have a conflict of interest with the Lake Champlain Board, and you were empowered as a Warren County Supervisor to vote on the Resolution 133 of 2018. So with that being said, you know, I personally am going to file an ethics review upon myself. I'm that confident that this matter will resolve itself. I hope in the future we can be smart about how and why we raise certain issues so we don't waste time, taxpayer money. We are all here for the good of our county and our residents. I am glad to sit down with anyone to talk more in depth about some of these issues. A few of you have called to me and reached out to me, and I appreciate that. I have no problem sharing what I would like to, but I'm not going to do it in open session. So, with that being said, I didn't want to make this a question and answer comment period, but I just wanted to state my case. With that being said, I'm going to turn it back, or should we go to privilege of the floor, or do we do, is it my call? My call? Why don't we do privilege of the floor then, so we don't waste some people's time. Mr. Whitehead?
Thank you. Actually, the purpose the other day of bringing that up was to try to bring focus just where these loans are going. Not in particular to you, but, you know, there's ones there, for instance, Mr. DeSantis, that I would question. There are, according to their own rules, you must have to be turned down by a bank before they'll consider giving you a loan. I believe people like Mr. DeSantis have ample collateral, around the county. Probably they could get a bank loan. So actually, the reason to do this was to spur the board, and in particular the chairman of the board, Mr. Conover, to take a harder look into this issue that I've been bringing up for almost 3 months now. And when I did discover this loan to the Sokolows, I thought it was a good example to bring about that there might be reasons to look into where all these loans are going. That's the reason that I did it. I still have the same concerns that I did then. And I hope that we look harder into not only LCLG RPB, but the private company that they, or some members of them, created called LCLG RDC, which is the one that is getting millions of dollars of loans and handing them out. In particular, it seems that, and again, I'm not a lawyer, and I've asked this question of the ABO and I haven't gotten a response, but it would seem that RDC is very similar in construction to the LDC, CDC, EDC, all these ABCDEFG economic development corporations that hand out public monies to all kinds of different people for the purpose of getting jobs more than anything else in struggling businesses. So I still have a lot of questions along that line, and I'm sorry if it caused you any embarrassment. It was not my intent. I see that it has, and I have my apology for that. But my intent is to spur Mr. Conover to take a harder look at this. I think it's a great idea that you did ask the Ethics Board to look into this, because it's something I can't do. As it turns out, a mere taxpayer can't ask this. So I do hope that this will be reviewed, because I think there probably are a lot of questions in people's minds. For instance, Brad McGowan has been questioned whether or not having a brother-in-law, he should be silent on all things airport. Good question. It seems to me that, there's less of a relationship there perhaps than with a parent. But at any rate, thank you for giving me the opportunity to respond. Thank you.
Yeah, and I really appreciate what you do. I do. I mean, there are not a lot of people that put in the amount of time that you do. But again, if you just came to me, as a matter of fact, I would like to answer some of your questions after the meeting, because I think you should know. And that loan will not go into default. I will tell you that. That will be paid off. Any other privilege of the floor? Okay, then we need to go into...
We go into executive session.
To discuss what again, Mary, please?
Universal settlement and litigation that the county's been asked to join.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Simpson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We are back in open session. Those decisions were made in executive session. So I do have one more thing, though. The meetings that we talked about for the week of April 9th will happen on April 11th at 10 o'clock, and that will be personnel and finance. So
It's 11th. That's a Wednesday.
Huh?
Wednesday.
That's a Wednesday. Yeah.
Instead of Thursday.
Right. Okay, thank you for everyone for being patient. But any other business before finance? Motion to adjourn. Motion made by Supervisor Dickinson, seconded by Supervisor Simpson. All in favor?
Aye,
Opposed?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.